Morning, YT family. It is the Doll Baby 4400. Happy Monday. I hope everyone's Monday is wonderful and beautiful. This morning I am feeling a little off, but happy to be here. This video, you guys, has taken me a really long time to make. I'm sorry for all the lighting, but actually I do not have any light on in my house. This is really how light my house is, and normally I do have to have the light on, but it is very bright in here this morning. It is about 11 o'clock and I am up and at 'em this morning. I had a little bit of sinus things going on, with me this morning, but I got up, put my clothes on, got a little bit beautiful this morning. And getting dressed when you're not feeling good makes you feel better. So putting my clothes on, I even put a little ring on, you guys, and I'm going through a little bit because I cannot find my wedding ring and my wedding band. Put it down somewhere in the house, in between doing my closet and everything else. Cannot find them. A little upset about that, but that has happened to me before. Sorry for my boobs hanging out, but this shirt is just acting a little crazy, so we'll cover it up with my hair because I know sometimes that offends people. But anyhow, let me tell you what the video is about. I was inspired about, let's say, maybe a week and a half ago or more, by Petals is Blessed. Is my girl. If you guys don't know her, please check her out. She has such a beautiful spirit and heart, and her videos are so sweet and just a calm spirit. Please check her out. I was inspired first by her, watching her video. Well, actually, let me go back. I was inspired by MKB Lady when she had her birthday bash giveaway. I was first inspired by her. And let me tell you guys, before you get to watching, if you're not for long videos, which I'm one who cannot do too many long videos unless I'm absolutely totally interested in what the person is saying, this is going to be a long video. I may even have to do a part 2. I'm going to try to keep it 15 minutes each sessions or whatever sessions. I'm going to try to keep them down to 15 minutes. But this is I have to get this out because I've been getting PMs on this about my testimony and my struggles. And I've been letting a little bit at a time come out. But MKB Lady, when she had the birthday bash giveaway, that is what inspired me to first talk about my illness and my testimony and what I've been going through, and why I always smile and why I'm so happy and upbeat and bubbly in my videos. And then when Petals is Blessed talked about her setback on her lung transplant, that particular night that she had made that video, I got on and I tried to make a video. I tried even 3 or 4 times, and I got so emotional that I had to just stop. I wasn't able to do it. And that's because I was going through my own struggles that evening. And I understand. And when I did that video on MKB Lady, I got so many responses, private PMs, and even comments where people said that it was such an inspiration and people were going through the same thing. So I was like, wow, you know, I got people who have similar illnesses, or people who are going through the same thing, and I'm not in this alone. So it made me feel easier about expressing myself and talking about what I was going through. So I'm going to try to start really at the beginning, and I hope that this, and I'm telling you this because I hope it can inspire somebody else to feel comfortable in telling their story, to inspire somebody else, or even to comfort somebody else. That's why I wanted to get on that night to talk to Petals and make her feel a little bit better about what she was feeling that night, because she was feeling really down, Petals. So this video is dedicated to you, girl, because I understood what you were going through, and everybody knows that I'm on a weight loss journey and I'm on a get fit journey, and that is not for vanity. It is for my illness, and it's for what I'm going through. Okay, let's start from the beginning. I did touch on a lot of it in Miss NKB Lady's birthday bash giveaway. And I'm gonna tell you, let me start from the beginning. When I was 12 years old, I noticed that when I was playing dodge football or something. We were playing some type of game. I can't remember. Might have been tag, something like that. And my arm started shaking. It was my left side, and my arm just started shaking like crazy. And everybody started calling me. Said I was I can't remember what they were saying, but they were saying I was kirking out or something. I can't remember. The words was different because it was so long ago. But anyway, I was embarrassed. The kids were laughing at me, so I never told anybody. And so every time it would happen, and it wouldn't happen often, but every time it would happen, I would go in the room or go in the bathroom and let it happen. But I was having seizures. I never even told my parents or anything like that. So when I got pregnant with my son, I was 23 years old, and they started to happen more frequently. And so I didn't tell anybody then because it wasn't that bad, and I was used to having them. So unfortunately, one day I was in the doctor's office getting a checkup, pregnancy checkup, OBGYN, well, obstetrician, whatever you call it. Well, I was in there, and my whole left side got numb. But fortunately, my doctor's husband was a neurologist, and she said, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to get you seen today. And the hospital I was going to, as you guys know who watching me, I was wow, I can't get it. I'm originally from Baltimore, so I was going to Johns Hopkins, and any of you who know about Johns Hopkins, it's a world famous hospital, and they do a lot of experimentation, and they are a great hospital. So her husband was a world famous doctor, a neurologist there, and he got me in that day. So I was talking to my girlfriend, and she was like, girl, you going to Johns Hopkins, girl, you know they experiment on you there. They're going to tell you going there for a headache. They're going to tell you need brain surgery. So sure enough, like 2 hours later, my doctor calls me. They go give me an MRI and a CAT scan, all that stuff. So my doctor tells me, she calls me up and she was like, do you have any family members? You need to get somebody down here to be with you. So I get scared. I'm like, what do you need people down here to be with me for? So I was like, call my mom and my dad. I was like, y'all need to come down here or whatever. And I was scared, to be honest, and I was like, well, they can't make it down here right away. Just tell me what you need to tell me. So exactly what my girlfriend said when they called me back, they were like, well, you know what, sis, you do. You need, we've seen something in your head, and it's not good, and you do need to have brain surgery. We're going to cut your head from here all the way around here like a question mark, and we're going to pull the skin back, and we're going to do this procedure, and what you have is called the AVM, articular venous malformation. Very few people have it. It's very rare. You can die from it. We're not sure if we can continue your pregnancy. You're even lucky to be here today, for you to have life this long, and they just went on and on and on and on. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm very young, 23 years old. I'm like, are you really serious? So all I did is break down and cry. By that time, my parents got there and everything. So nevertheless, I really went through a struggle through my pregnancy. They wanted to abort my son when I was 7 months pregnant. Of course, the first thing we do as Christians and religious people, we turn to God whenever we're in trouble. That's what we do. I mean, if we didn't have any troubles, we wouldn't know God. Come on now, I'm being serious. That's what we do. We turn to God. So I did have a religious base, and I did believe in the Lord, and I was a deep believer. So of course I turned to the Lord. I went to all the churches and preachers and pastors and elders and everything. I got anointed and blessed and all that good stuff. And so I forgot what all the doctors said, and I believed that God would heal me and that God would see me through, which He did. So He showed that He's more powerful than the doctors, and I made it through. Even though I delivered early, they said my delivery date was my birthday, September the 14th, and I delivered August the 29th. And they gave me the delivery date a little later than that, because they were going to take him early because they didn't want me to push, because that was called strain on the brain and the blood flow and all that old good stuff. But nevertheless, he made it here only through the grace of God. That's why I do smile, and that's why I've been through a whole lot. And then after that, excuse me, y'all. Then after that, let me check my time real quick, y'all guys. Okay, we're at 9:20. I want to get to 15, and then I'll stop and do another video. But anyway, then after that, I was in the hospital. My son went home before I did. I was in the hospital for another 2 weeks. The day I came home was September 13th. The next day was my birthday, and I had a baby shower that day. That's why it was the most memorable birthday I ever had. And it was just beautiful. My son did come out normal and all that good stuff. And then they told me I needed to have the surgery, else I was not going to make it. They still had this ticking time bomb up in my head. So I walked around for a year and a half not knowing whether it could explode or anything, you know, because I was afraid to have it. I wanted to spend some time with my son. I wanted to get to know my son before, you know, I didn't want to, because the surgery was a 50-50 chance that I could die because of where it was, or I could become a vegetable. So I wanted to get to know my son before I died. But let me go back, because they told me that if I had him, I could die. And so I had to sign a paper that on the table, who would I take? And I told them to take me. So God showed them, and he saved both of us. So that's why I smile also, guys. So it was October of that following year. My son was about 15 months, something like that. And I had the surgery. No, I didn't have the surgery. I had a stroke. I had a stroke, and I was 25 years old at that point. I had a stroke, and I was in the stroke unit. And it was a bad one. And I couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't do anything. I never forget, I had wavy hair in my head, and they came in there with the scissors trying to cut the hair out of my head, and I had paid a lot of money for their hair. And only thing I could remember is worrying about them cutting their hair out my head, and I paid a lot of money for their hair. And that's where my mind was, really, guys. And didn't realize how bad off I was. And they wanted to do the surgery right then and there. And I said, no, I'm a trust in God. This is not the time. I'm a trust in God, because I remember what they said, that if they go in at this time, they were trying to wait for new innovations, new surgeries, where they could do a knifeless surgery, where they wouldn't have me a vegetable. I said, I'm going to wait on it. I don't want you to go in there, which I'm glad I did. I went on and got my rehabilitation. I went to a place called Montebello Rehabilitation Hospital, learned to walk and talk again and everything. And my mother started researching magazines and stuff like that, and she found a doctor called Dr. Harry Nada, and he had developed a new surgery which was called radio something sequel surgery, but now today is called, and this was back in 88, 89, something like that. But back then it was called that, but now it's called Gamma Knife. And that surgery, I was one of the 5th persons in the country to have that surgery, and it was done at Johns Hopkins. I was in the medical magazine and all that stuff, and it was a success. And at the time, I didn't know it was a success because it was experimental. And they told me, everything this doctor told me was so true, you guys. They told me that that I would probably develop aneurysms after the surgery. The surgery didn't work immediately. It worked over time. It worked over a 10 to 15 year period. It would work. But I probably would develop, it may develop strokes, TIAs, which is transient ischemic attacks, and they mimic strokes, but they're only for a small amount of time, and then they're gone. And they could cause aneurysms, which he was right, but they will be over time. It would take time, because what that did was it was like a laser surgery. They took radiation and they shot it to that part of the brain, and it damaged that vessel, and it caused scar tissue around that vessel. So it would cause the scar tissue so that vessel wouldn't burst. So that's what it would do. But it would do that over a period of time. So that's what it did, but it would take years to do it. And that's exactly what it did to my brain. And it did the job, because after 10 years, I started to have problems. It did stop the seizures, because at one point I was having over 50 to 100 seizures a day. And they wanted to try a surgery, which had just came into play like 6 to 7 years after that first surgery I had, and that surgery was to remove that part of my brain that caused the seizures, and that was a surgery that was invented by Dr. Ben Carson. And he had just done it on someone, and they wanted me to have that procedure done as well. Well, I was scared of it, and I said no, which I'm glad I did, because later on, years later, they got my seizures under control because they had better medication for epileptics, because I have epilepsy and I have seizures that are caused by damage of the brain. So later on down the road, yes, I did have other surgeries, other brain surgeries. But I'm going to stop right there because I'm going to drink a little bit of water, and then I'm going to reload for part 2. And I want to thank you guys for continuing to listen to my testimony. I'll be right back. Bye-bye.